Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast. And I bring a very special guest with me today as well. Every one of us wants to jump on Amazon business, Amazon journey, but no one knows the steps and no one knows the difficulties that are involved in this thing. And everyone likes the shiny side of Amazon, but we today have a very serious and very experienced seller that she has been selling on Amazon from last few years, and we would like to discuss her on Amazon journey and how she approached with Amazon journey and how she became successful on Amazon. With me is Gina Perez. Hi Gina, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. It took us a lot of time to come at this point, and now we are doing this podcast. So tell me about yourself. How did you ended up being in Amazon, and how did you start your journey?
Yeah, so I've actually been in the e-commerce space since the 1999. Kind of
Wow.
the millennium was the big deal when I first started. Of was Y2K going to get us? But yeah, so I've been in the space for over 20. I guess that's like 24 years now, and I'd worked for large retail companies, growing the e-com departments, internet space, where it was before people were comfortable even putting credit cards online. So I worked for a kind of a mail order catalog company that sold sporting goods, and I was there 17 years. And then I moved to a somewhat of a CPG brand that sold
Hmm.
snacks, and I was there for 4 years. And I decided that I really I've always wanted to have my own business. And in 2019, I started just kind of doing some research and planning and figuring out what industry I wanted to be in, and kind of the rest is history from there. So I left my full-time job um, 3 weeks before the country shut down for COVID. So
Wow.
I thought I'd made a mistake, but it ended up being okay because the world really started ordering products online, and in the United States, for at least, people started adopting pets, and so I'm in the pet industry, and it
Nice.
really kind of grew a little bit faster than I had anticipated, but it was a great problem to have. So that's kind of the 10-cent tour of my professional career for the last 25 years.
Interesting. That's good to see. People have jumped a lot into Amazon industry, especially in Amazon when the COVID hit. And when I was one of them, I used to be a professional sportsman. I used to be a cricketer. And when the COVID hit, I sit here in front of screen and started exploring a lot of options for me. And then Amazon came in front of me, and then I came into industry. So yeah, everyone has some kind of history with COVID as well. So, looking back, is there anything you wish you would have done differently when starting your e-commerce business?
Yeah, so there was a couple of things. Like,
Hmm.
one of the things that I knew that I wasn't good at and I didn't want to do kind of was the
Hmm.
accounting piece.
Oh
And
yeah.
so my first hire was a professional bookkeeping company that also
Hmm.
had ties to a CPA, that could file my taxes and do all that. And that really kind of set me up, for success, just having books done the way they're supposed to be done. What I didn't anticipate with COVID, because it's really hard to, for startups to get capital, just to get money to do what you want to do. And so I financed on my own, and I had a couple of credit cards that were pretty high limits.
Hmm.
And my plan was to put all the startup costs on one credit card, and I'd have everything in one lump sum, and then balance transfer it to a zero APR card, which I had, so that I could basically give myself a loan. However, with COVID, what happened is the bank's rates started going up, and they started eliminating the balance transfer. So I got in a little bit of, a space where I didn't want to be paying interest. And for
Hmm.
me, if I'd known a little bit better, kind of that space,
Yeah.
maybe I wouldn't, have gotten into that dilemma. But I really think that people can uh, really kind of get their finances in order before starting. And one of the big things that I didn't know, is that establishing business credit. So you have your personal credit, right? So
Yeah.
FICO score and all that, and how you get loans. Everybody, if you get a loan that way, everybody wants you to personally back it. But once you establish a business, get your LLC, open up a small credit card so that you establish your business credit, which is Paydex, and that I didn't know, and I thought I was doing it, but when it turned out the credit cards were personal credit cards, and so it didn't really apply to the business. And so I've since then started exactly what I did: get a small credit card, start purchasing things and paying it down, and establishing business credit, so that when I do want to get a loan, I have now a business credit score basically, and then I can and be a little easier. I've gone through the whole 9 yards of SBA, so Small Business Association here in the
Mhm.
United States, trying to get loans. And
Yeah.
when you were a startup, it's a little bit difficult because they require 2 years of finance returns and IRS returns, and I didn't have those because I was a startup. And then when COVID hit, all the money that was being handed out for businesses, they require 2 years of tax returns, and I just didn't have those, so I didn't qualify. And then one of the other things was you had to show a decrease in sales. And so with the startup, I was actually showing an increase. So when you go from zero to
Oh,
something,
okay.
that's an increase. And so I didn't qualify for any of those things. So I would just say, kind of having a plan of here's the initial financial investment and then a backup plan. So when
Mhm.
things go wrong, what are some other things that you can do? Um, Kind of is a big deal to me. So that's kind of the first thing I would say. The second big thing is really kind of doing some research. So I would say one of
Mhm.
my things that I wish I hadn't done was, there's tons of courses and things you can buy online, and there was
Yeah.
one that seemed pretty like they had their stuff together, and it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and it was a little more expensive, and I thought because of the expense that they knew what they were doing, and I really didn't get a great experience from that. Since then, I have found a networking group of people, people in the industry. Helium Temps Elite program has been great. Like,
Yeah.
it's much cheaper than what I paid for a initial course. I was first getting into the Amazon space as a seller, because my previous experience was just as a brand. We were uploading, reselling. We didn't have our own brand or anything like that. We were reselling and used feeds and things like that. So, but as an Amazon seller, it was a very new space for me, and so I was trying to learn everything I could. But
Mm.
I would just kind of do some due diligence when you're looking at courses or people that claim to be gurus or things like that. Like those are the two things that I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I would have done differently if I'd have known. So
Awesome. That's some really interesting insights. And when you started your business, did you have any milestone in your mind, or everything was on the go that, okay, I'm waking up this morning, I would have to do this, and I will be doing this? Or you will be having any kind of milestone that we need to achieve these KPIs in next 3 months, 6 months, or it was just on the go?
yeah, so I kind of, because I started the business while I had a full time job, I was really working two jobs. So I'd work, 8 to 5, 8 to 6, and then I'd come home and I'd work in the evenings from after dinner until 3 or 4 in the morning. And I really
Oh,
had a to-do list. And my to-do list of starting a business was, researching the industry. Where did I want to be? Establishing an LLC, establishing a trademark, just kind of doing the beginning stages of starting a business before I
mhm.
even launched anything. I built my own website. I'm very much a proponent of not putting all your eggs in one basket and having,
Yeah.
diversifying your portfolio. So I wasn't just going to be an Amazon seller. So I set up my website. I got on eBay, I got on Etsy. I opened up accounts basically. So whatever my first product was going to be, I'd have, 5 different channels that I could sell from. And that also helps, kind of in the SEO search. So the search engine results, I'd come up multiple times in multiple
Yeah.
places, and people have different ways of how they want to purchase. So not everybody wanted to purchase on Amazon. So I had my own website, and some people were already used to eBay. So it was just, let me set up all of these things. And it was really a checklist of things. And when it got to the point of, okay, I'm ready to launch. I've got my product. I've got, my trademark. I've got my website going, pay method stuff set up. Everything was kind of ready to go. That was the first time that I actually considered quitting my job because, working, 18-hour
Yeah.
days was getting very tiresome.
Mm, yeah.
So, I made a plan and said, okay, this is a date. I talked with my family, and we were like, okay, this is going to be rough for a year, but it'll work out in the long run. And that was just, it was just kind of a do the next thing. Like, here's your list, and every day do the next thing, and
Mhm.
do the next, whatever the next thing is, do that. Set up the website, set up this, set up that. And before I knew it, after months, I was like, okay, like I feel like I'm at a good place. And it wasn't like I just bought a bunch of inventory, opened the Amazon account, and put it up. Like, it was kind of more thought out. And I think that just kind of speaks to the e-com experience and working for a company that I had worked for
Yeah.
over 20 years in those two companies, that I learned all parts of the business. And so knowing having those knowing to have those things set up was beneficial.
Interesting. How important is the product selection when coming to Amazon? So this is the question that everyone asks. This is going to be let us suppose there's a shiny product or very seasonal product and people see as an opportunity. So how important is that the search of that product, seeing the longevity, seeing the market and seeing everything in. So how did you consider that this is going to be my product and I'm going to go with this?
Yeah, so as I was doing some research, I had been
Mhm.
in sporting goods for a while, and I was just looking at things that I enjoyed in my own life. And so sports is one of
Mhm.
those things. I had already done sporting goods, and it was low margins in sporting goods. So it was
Yeah.
like, I can't just be another Nike. So as I was doing research and the things that I liked, what it really kind of boiled down to is three categories of product niches that were recession tolerant. When you're doing a SWOT analysis, like what are the things that can make or break you? And pets, senior citizens, and babies were kind of the three industries that it didn't matter what happened in the country. Like, those industries thrived even in the 2008 recession. Pet
Yeah.
industry increased. It was just kind of boiled down to those three. And of those three, I don't have kids. I'm not a senior citizen. I do have family that's older, but really my passion and what I really loved was animals. And so that's how I decided to get in that space. And then from that point on, it was like, okay, I don't just want to be a Me Too. Let me find if there's any holes in the space, and really kind of did some research on, what products had high margins, what was, needed in this space that wasn't a Me Too. And that's how I came upon my supplements, and then kind of expanded
Mhm.
my assortment from there. And every product that I consider really has some sort of benefit. And I really am kind of demanding that things, be made in the United States, are natural ingredients. And really, people spend a ton of money on their pets. They're like their kids for animal lovers. And that's what we do here at our house. And so that's really kind of how I determined how I was going to have an assortment. And every product that I consider from that point on is that way. I am getting into a space of non-US products, but on a higher end, what I would consider gourmet higher end imports, and trying to bring, because some things like Himalayan yak shoes can't be made in the United States. They all come from Nepal. Like, there's no way to have a USA
Yeah.
made yak shoe. So that's a product that I've been considering. And I have to kind of veer from my original plan of things being made in the United States. But there's just things you can't do. And I feel like there's some good products in that space that I can bring and at least present as a premium product. And that's how I always consider products. And doing all the checking all the boxes that you need to do, looking at the search volume of any product that I'm selecting, seeing how much competition there are.
Yeah.
It's really a research of each product, and how do I think I'll fit in, and does my brand support it? And that's really how I go.
Absolutely, absolutely. You see, people have considered this term. There was this term used, like use Amazon as your side income. So, how much this is your side income, right? You have been working 18 hours a day, and how difficult is for those people who are thinking that this is going to be my side income, and I would be going my full job, and then make a lot of money from Amazon as a side income. So, how true is this?
Um, I think if you're maybe not creating a brand and you're kind of
Hmm.
doing like one hit wonder type products, then
Yeah,
maybe it could be side income. But if you
yeah,
really want to do it right, and create a brand, create all the social media profiles, have a website, create an email list, like it's really working two jobs if you want to keep that other job. Otherwise, it has to become a full time job for you if you're going to do it well, and do it where it can be your only job and provide
yeah,
for your household. Yeah,
exactly.
it's a evolution. For me, it was an evolution of
Hmm.
two jobs to one, and then growing it to be a larger business. And I never really considered selling my brand. I mean, during COVID, that
Hmm.
was kind of like a boom of everybody was selling their
Hmm.
brands from
Yeah.
Amazon, and people were getting 7 8x on them. And I was getting emails and phone calls every day about, do you
Mhm.
want to sell your brand? Do you want to sell your brand? it never crossed my mind because at that point I was only a year into it, and I was
Yeah.
like, no, I kind of built this brand because I wanted it to be my retirement plan. Like
Yeah.
I'll work for however 5-10 years, and then maybe sell it, or if somebody, I have a partner that wants to continue running it, and I can kind of just be in the background. And yeah, that was my original plan, and it
Hmm.
still is. Like I chose not to sell like the. I mean, I'm not saying that I can't be bought. Like there, everybody's got a price, right?
Yeah.
But there just wasn't, the buyout that I was like, oh, this is like the pot of gold that I would be willing to sell, because I put a lot of time and
Mhm.
effort into building this
Exactly.
brand. It's part of me, and it would have to have been an obscene amount of money for me to even that soon just sell it, because I was
Mm.
like, oh my god, yeah, I didn't do all this work for somebody else to get the benefit from it.
True.
So
True. But you see, like if you are a seller yourself, you can't be expert in everything. So how important is the outsourcing and how to vet the right people for your team? So what made you able to achieve those, things for yourself and your brand?
yeah, so it goes back to research. I was actually pretty fortunate with having one of my selling propositions being that my products are made in the United States. So when COVID hit, and then all the things that happen with the delays in shipping from imported products, I didn't have that. And also when the ports were down, like I didn't have any issues with delays at the ports, because my products were made here and they were shipped here from different
Mhm.
states to different
Yeah.
parts, different warehouses for Amazon, and here to my office. And so I think it was kind of strategic, and it ended up, being good in the long run. The downside of that is that you have to have a premium product, so you're not selling the value or the cheaper version of
Mhm.
anything, and you have to portray
Yeah.
that in your brand, and you have to find the target market that's willing to pay for that, and see the value of the premium product that you sell. I do think there's a place for import things that are kind of commodities,
Mhm.
uh, small things like there, in the pet space, there's toys and beds and all kinds of stuff that, quite frankly, are just more economically made overseas, and you just have
Mhm.
to deal with importing. And I've just not had to deal with that because I've not done that. And for me, it's one headache I don't have to have is
Mhm.
having to, deal with cross country economics of payments, shipping on, putting containers on boats, and
Yeah.
if there's any delays, and do I airship, and how much is it going to cost, and language barriers. Like I've just not had to deal with those things by design,
Mhm.
and you know dealing with companies in the United States have just been kind of my preference. And
Mhm.
not that other countries are worse or bad. It's just
Yeah.
or some of them are better cost wise, but that was just kind of the decision I made, how I wanted to operate.
Cool. That's interesting. So you have all those sourcing and all the manufacturing in your US, US territory. So that's a plus point for you. So um, there's must be a life balance, work-life balance in your life right now. Or how do you manage your life, especially in this fast-paced e-commerce? Next day you wake up, Amazon algorithm has changed and it has made a lot of changes. Now AI has been introduced into Amazon system. And so
Mhm.
how do you balance your life, the sports you love, and then the business you have?
Yeah, so that's a debate of, is
Yeah.
my life balanced or not. I will say working from home, it has its pros and cons. So
Hmm.
I have been in the e-commerce space, like I said, for almost 25
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Working 24/7 on the internet has been my way of being for the last 25 years. Like
Okay.
internet doesn't conveniently break between 8 and 5. Like I've gotten calls in the middle of the night that,
Hmm.
oh, our website's down. And for us back then, in sporting goods, for every hour that the website was down, we were losing thousands of dollars. And so it was kind of a, everybody get up, out of bed, and let's fix this, because we're
Hmm.
literally losing thousands of dollars every time the website's down. Imagine Amazon being down for an hour, how
Yeah.
much revenue they would lose.
Oh, exactly.
So having that mentality of 24/7 has kind of been ingrained in me in my professional career. Um, the the good part for me is that I'm kind of a night owl. Like I do better in the evening. I'll work till 5 in the morning and sleep in the more early morning hours of the day.
Hmm.
Um, that is not a great schedule for family life. You know, people that work 8 to 5, and
Yeah.
people that go to dinner at 6 or 7, people that want to have 8 a.m. Meetings or doctor's appointments. Like to me, it's a little bit of a I've got to work with it a little bit. But for now, to me, that schedule works. What the benefits of it is, like if I'm talking to anybody in another
Hmm.
country, so if I've got contacts in Europe somewhere, like the time zone, there's a nice time zone
It's
that
different.
fits in the afternoon where it's not too early for somebody and not too late for anybody else. But if I was only working 8 to 5, then I would really cut off some communication times. And for me, working from home also gives me the flexibility to do the things that I need to do when and where I need to do them. So doctor's appointments, or if somebody in my family has something that I need to help with, then have the ability to say, okay, well, I'll do all this evening. I'm able to do this during the day. On travel, like I've got a trip planned for the Olympics here coming up in
Hmm.
two and a half weeks, and being able to
Interesting.
work on the road,
Hmm.
take my laptop, and there's no way that I could be completely unplugged. Like there's going to be days where I'll be unplugged, but you can guarantee I'm checking my email every day just to make sure there's no fires, because you know how volatile Amazon can be.
Hmm.
One
Hmm.
day you
Yeah,
have all
yeah,
your
yeah.
listings up, and one day, knock on wood, they're all down. So
Exactly.
it's just one of those things where it's allowed me to do all the things. And I've always said, I had been in ecom working for companies that uh, I worked really hard for. Like I got to a position where I was managing people and director level positions. And
Yeah,
I said, if I worked this hard for other people to have beach houses, like imagine what I would do for myself. I
of
want my own
course.
beach house. And
Of
so
course.
if I work just as hard, if not harder, then how can I not be successful? If I'd already had some success as a manager in a different company, then I can count on myself. I can credit myself, and I can blame myself for anything that happens. And that's really kind of been more of um, a breath of fresh air for me. Like you know,
Yeah.
being able to make my own decisions and call my own shots, and and live life the way I want to.
Cool, cool. Like I said, like the AI have been evolving, and less like Amazon has been getting stricter on 3P sellers, and then all those policies have been, strict on this, and then the Chinese sellers have come into place. Amazon
Yeah.
itself getting all those brands. So how do you see the future of e-commerce and especially Amazon? So what is your take on this?
So for me, it goes back to what I said at the beginning, is really
Mhm.
diversifying your portfolio. So I did, one of my products did kind of get an influx of Chinese competition here in the last six
Mhm.
months. And my sales pretty much cut in half, because, they have more resources. They have, more things that they can do to have their
Yeah.
products sell more than mine. And I refused to kind of play the price war. Like that was not a space that I wanted to be in. And I think because I had opened up with Walmart, I had opened up my own website, there was other places that I was selling my product. It kind of helped alleviate the decline from Amazon sales, because my
Mhm.
Walmart sales picked up. So it was kind of a one went up, one went down. So for this past year, I was flat. If Amazon sales had stayed where they were, and Chinese
Yeah.
competition hadn't come in, then I would be up for the year. But for me, it was like, you can't don't put all your eggs in one basket, because if you're only selling on Amazon and all of a sudden your sales got cut in half, like you're in a world of trouble. And
Exactly.
so it's just my philosophy of like, continuing to find products that are unique and don't have a lot of competition to start with. Find more
Mhm.
of those every day that I can, and then making sure that I'm in multiple spaces and keeping an eye on, is competition coming over there. Um, with Amazon, and I wish, like, they're great for customers. Like when you're an Amazon customer, it's great. Like they take care
Mhm.
of you. They don't
Exactly.
necessarily always take care of the seller. And where I think competition is good, I just don't think that they're really great at evening the playing field and keeping people, the bad actors, from doing the bad
Mhm.
things. And it's not just Chinese; it's multiple countries that do quote unquote bad things. That, like, they're just not following the rules, so it's not a fair playing space. And I'm a rule follower, so I'm not doing any of the black hat things that
Exactly.
are getting people in trouble or taken down. And but in the long run, it's like you don't always win when you're the good guy, right? So you get
Hmm.
trampled on by the people that are doing the black hat things, and they don't care what's in their wake. They're looking to make their money and go on. You know, I went into the pet space not wanting to put anybody out of business. I just
Hmm.
wanted a piece of the pie. It's a huge pie, and I
Exactly.
wanted to kind of just take a little piece of the pie, have my own business, have my own living, and provide for my family. And that's all I wanted. I'm not trying to create another, you know, Zesty Paws or some giant
Hmm.
huge company. The last thing I want, I got out of the corporate environment because I kind of got tired of it, and working from home and having my own business. I don't want to go back to that. So I'm not looking to create this
Understood.
big conglomeration and uh, try to go back to where I was. Like I'm happy in a smaller kind of small business self-employed
Hmm.
space, and then trying to figure out when am I going to sell it. Do I sell it? Do I just become a silent partner with somebody at some point?
Hmm.
But yeah, that's my answer is you just diversify your portfolio. Um, Also, Amazon is, or my private label products are not my only business. I also have real estate, rental properties. I do a
Hmm.
little bit of consulting, like not a lot of consulting, but
Good.
I have people that ask me questions of can I help them some way, and it's mainly uh, former colleagues, friends that have their own businesses and need help in the e-commerce web space, and I'm always willing to help because people help me along the way, and um, everybody wants to pay you, and so it's just a small consulting business that I'm saying, okay, I'll take this fee, whatever it is. I don't want it, but I'll take it. So those kinds of things are set up so that I'm not heavy in any one spot. That if one goes down, then I'm completely sunk. So.
Absolutely. I think it's the mindset you had throughout your whole career, that made you excel in every field. It's the positive impact of that mindset. So, coming to my last two questions that are really my favorite, and I ask from every single person who comes here. One, the role of habits. You had the mindset, you had this mindset that I'm not going to take someone else pie, I'm just going to take my part. And so what was those habits that made you with come up with these minds? Was it the nurturing in corporate environment? Was it yourself getting some kind of coaching or self improvement, self help books? What made you, or it was naturally, God gifted or something else? So what made you come up with this mindset and with this thought?
Um, I don't know. I think like you, and I didn't realize you were a professional athlete too in cricket.
Yeah,
I was a collegiate athlete. I was a professional athlete. So just kind of growing up in a team environment, where
nice.
everybody is going towards a certain goal, and you have relationships, and you have hierarchies of coaches and players, and people that are better players and people that are developing players. Like it was um, kind of the mindset of we don't want to hand out, we want to help up hand up. We are
Exactly.
trying to all succeed, and when one on a team, when one person loses, the whole team loses. It's you don't win the game, everybody loses. You win the game, everybody wins. You have some individual victories. Maybe my sport, I played softball. Maybe you batted 1,000 that day, great victory for you, but
Mhm.
we still lost the game. So you got to figure out how you're going to help the other people on your team to be successful, because when everybody's successful,
Exactly.
then everybody wins. And I just come from a place of my village that raised me, of family and friends.
Mhm.
You surround yourself with good people, and it's how do we help everybody. And when my friend is successful, I'm successful, and we're successful, and we do positive things together. And that's just been my mentality for a long time. Of it's karma. You do good things, and good things come back to you somehow. Like you can't always be stepping on people. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes those people. There are those people out there that just do get in successful places, but they
Yeah.
burn a lot of bridges along the way, and I'm just not a bridge burner. There's some things that have been done to
Absolutely.
me that I'm certainly not happy with, but it's one of those things where I don't necessarily
Absolutely.
forget. But I've got my crew, my village of people that are support system, and surround yourself with positive thinkers and people that are smarter than you, people that can help you along the way too when you need help. Like I've always been in the space of helping other people any way that I can. Whether it's ecom, whether they need to borrow something, if they need an emergency of something, like I'm the phone a friend. Like I'm gonna help you any way I can, or find somebody that
Yeah.
can help
Yeah.
you. And I hope that is the reason that things come back to me, is
Exactly.
just be a good human.
I absolutely love this quote. When you hear this, like, the secret of getting everything is giving everything. So when you're supposed to get everything, that means you have been giving everything to people, whether it is wisdom, whether it is your knowledge, whether it is your time. So it ultimately the law of attraction happens and things comes to you because now you are the giver and the frequency start matching to the world. When someone is a giver, all those givers comes to him because the
Hmm.
frequencies are matching. This is the spirituality. You see, like, you have been giving something, whether it is your time, anything, and it will happen that you would be attracting all those people that are giving in nature. So yeah, I
Hmm.
absolutely love this idea that you have, and it's really amazing. Coming to my last question, looking at me, I'm at 24 years of age. What advice you would give me and all those young entrepreneurs looking forward in their future and looking some good money, some good life for their families, for themselves? So, what would be your advice?
Um, I guess to be 24 again. I am how many months? I am 5 months away from 50,
Wow.
and yeah, that's what I said. I was like, what? That's a F word in my house now. I would say that it's just really kind of like have a plan, like you know, figure out kind of what you think is it's a everybody does it, and kind of people roll their eyes, but it's the 5-year plan. Like what are you going to do this year, and what are you going to do in 5 years? What are your expectations? How do
Mhm.
you want to be living? And if you have this expectation of things are just going to be given to you, then you know it's not going to happen. Like you just have to
Mhm.
kind of work, but do it smart. Figure out your goals. How are the 5 ways that you can be successful? Sorry, my dog's a
That's
little
fine.
anxious. But and find people that are in the same space as you that want
Mhm.
to do those things, because all of you guys can figure it out together and be
Mhm.
successful together. And whether it's male or female, be open. Like it's one of those things where not any one person has all the right answers, but
Yeah.
there's going to be a few people that have some suggestions that are going to be helpful, and some that are not, and then other people might have some suggestions. But it's kind of going back to this thing of karma, where if you're doing things for other people, they do for you too. And having a network of people, like,
Yeah.
to figure things out together, where you're not just by yourself. A support system, whether it's your family, your friends, your spouse, making sure that everybody's on board with you, because it can be a lonely space if nobody's on board with you, and you're not able to figure things out by yourself. It really takes a village. And so I would say, just kind of don't rush into things. Do research, figure out what your goals are, figure out what your village is, and then kind of take an accounting of it too. So
Mhm.
after the first year, go back and look at your goals and say, okay, where am I now? Like, am I
Yeah.
50% there? Am I over, where I was? Did I overachieve? And take credit for it. One thing that I am not great at doing, and I work on this because my partner's a therapist, and so it helps in the mental side, is celebrating the wins. I come from a space of, uh, I got to do better. Like, yes, I hit 300 today, but I didn't bat 1,000. Like, what
Mhm.
am I going to do better? Like, there's inherently in my sport, you're really good at your sport from an offensive position if you fail 70% of the time. So when somebody goes up to bat and they're 1 for 4,
Mhm.
that's 250. They're 2 for 4, it's 500. And so on. And the ones that are 1 for 4 doesn't make you a horrible person that game. It's just you have 3 more times to get it right, and it's inherently a sport that you fail 70% of the time. You're great. Like that's, you fail 60% of the time, you are extraordinary. But
Hmm.
you look at the just on the surface, failing 60% of the time for most people is like, oh my God, I'm gonna give up. And so I think being
Yeah.
raised in that mentality has taught me to be like, okay, like this didn't work, we gotta try the next thing. What's the next thing? How do we improve? How do we adjust? It's adjustments of what you're doing. Is it time? Is it resources? Is it whatever those things are, making adjustments and reflecting back on what you've done for the week, the month, the quarter, figuring how you're going to measure those things can kind of keep you on track and staying within your plan. So
Hmm.
I guess that was a long-winded answer of it's not you know
Absolutely. Yeah.
five
I
checkpoint
totally
things, but
love this. I loved it. Absolutely love this. And I hope you had a great talk, and it was pretty nice talking with you, and I really learned a lot from you, and all those audience would learn from you as well. It was really nice talking with you, and thank you so much for coming here.
yeah,
I
I
really
appreciate you
appreciate
having
that.
me, and hopefully it helps somebody along the way. Like
Yeah.
things like this help me. I mean,
Yeah, that's
I
the
spent
goal. That's the goal. Yeah.
I spent so much time watching videos and anything that I could that was free content to really
Hmm.
learn. And you don't always have to pay for stuff. And hopefully something like this will just one thing I said might help somebody make a decision
Yeah.
or point them in a direction. So I appreciate you having me on, and
Yes.
good luck to you too. I mean, I know you've got a new endeavor, so
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Gina. And goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much.
thank you.